Boy, what's up, Mr. Lightline? Got you sewed up on here, big brother. Got you sewed up, ready to go, man. Well, basically, Mr. Lightline blaze up this celebration stove right here. I am ventilated out here, by the way. I like to add that in there now. We're having some people say, why are you smoking around everybody's equipment? Hey man, I'm going to be myself around other people's equipment like I'm going to be myself when I walk out in public. I'm going to be myself when I'm by myself or in front of other people. I'm going to be myself. But I am going to be ventilated while I'm smoking. I don't smoke in a hot box or nothing like that. So I always keep the garage door up when I'm smoking. That's why I got a Y moat for my garage door and a Y moat for my lights over here. That battery's about dead. There you go. I need to change that battery. That's for my light, and I got one for my garage door back there too. So anyway, so if you see any smoke, man, that's cigarette. That's not your box smoking right here. So basically, Mr. Lightline sent another Texas Star 500, pretty much a procedure repair and upgrade. I've done quite a few of these now in the last couple of years. This was a newer style Texas Star. That's the top case right there. Let me move some of this stuff out of the way. I didn't clean the table, man. I got a lot of other repairs I got to do tonight. So basically, he sent it in because it wasn't doing any output, or hardly no output at all. So I quickly figured out that it had a blown transistor. Like I said, this is a newer Texas Star, so we got DEIs in it. So you got a blown transistor, and the 3 remaining transistors are damaged. Every single, let's see, these 2 are leaking. These 2 have leakage current, okay? And this one right here is damaged. It ain't reading as a transistor at all. And this one right here is not even reading from base to emitter, I believe it was. One of the junctions are not even reading. So all 4 of your transistors were damaged, man. These 2 that's got leakage, they probably would still work, but they're not going to be stable. And you find this a lot in these DEIs. You find it a lot in a lot of the Chinese-made transistors. I have not yet seen that happen like that a lot in the HGs myself. The HGs are the best things that's came out of China yet. And very happy to have them as an option. I still always tell people, you know, if you can go with Toshiba and can afford to, go with it. But if you can't, HG's the next best thing, man. So we got you 4 brand new HGs put in here, man. 4 matching HGs, as we talked about. You wanted the power wire upgrade, so I went ahead and done the power wire upgrade for you. We'll put you a little plug in here. I hadn't done it yet. I forgot to do that. So I put you a little plug in here. I like to plug them up, you know, just so you won't have a hole there. Most people don't mind, but I'm cosmetically OCD. So we got you some good 8-gauge wire, 2 8-gauge on the ground, 2 8-gauge on the red. I've already got them soldered up, heat shrink on there, so we can put the connectors on there. I hadn't got the connectors in yet. You also want some Andersons on there. I thought I had a pair of Andersons here, so I may have to ship them to you because I know this is a time-sensitive deal here, and you need to get this amplifier back. So might just have to ship them Andersons to you, bud. But anyway, so basically, after I got the HGs put in, I always like to check the 330 caps that's on the collector to load whenever you have a blowout, just in case. Most of the time they're still fine, still in a pretty good range of each other, and I just put them back in. But this particular time, they were not too fine. They were pretty widespread range from, like, one was a 290 picofarad. If this is below 300, that cap's been damaged. You know, it's just that simple. And the other ones were kind of sporadic. They wasn't really close to each other at all. So I went ahead and just matched you 4 new 330s and put them in here. Luckily, I have a wide range of brand new Texas Star parts that are OEM parts they use in their builds. I'm just very blessed to have that from having a good friend over at Texas Star. So I got you 4 matching 330s in there, just the identical ones that there were already in there. Except these are matched, and pretty much put in 4 new transistors and did a big reset for you, bud. And I took went ahead and replaced your output combiner because you had blown that resistor pretty well. Luckily, I still have close to 20 or 30 more of these combiners here, combiners and splitters. But one day I'm gonna run out of them and have to repurchase some. But I do have also a box of about 300 to 400 blown ones that the ferrite's still good, but just have blown resistors. So one of these days, if I ever feel the need, you know, I can just go replace resistors on them things and get them back into operation, as long as the inductance are still where they're supposed to be. But anyway, giving more information than I have to, like I always do. So anyway, when I got it all back up and rock and rolling, brother, I did notice, which is not uncommon, from changing from Toshiba's over, from DEI's over to any different transistor, or Toshiba's over any different transistor. There's about a half a watt of input reflect, which is acceptable, but I knew I could throw a trimmer up in there and retune that input for you, man, and get a little bit of get that reflect down, because even being at a half watt of input reflect there, it's showing there's a slight mismatch on the input, meaning all of your power is not going to be making it into the amp. There's going to be a little bit of power not making it in, and that's more power that you can be getting out of it with less heat. So I went ahead and got that tuned out. Let's see, they put 220s on these newer amps. The way it is on the older Texas Stars, you're going to be looking at a 330. Okay, and they use a 390 on the 667s. I'm starting to slowly remember these values when it comes to Texas Stars. But they retuned with the DEIs with a 220. They went down on the capacitance to make them work right. So we needed to add a little bit of capacitance, believe it or not. So we had to go up to about a 270, man. That flattened that out pretty good for you, man. Got it as low as it can get in this circuit. So it's good and low, man. Just a little bit of movement now. And she's working well, man. Already getting close to 500 watts, just hitting it with the bench radio on the old crappy servo supply right there. So that's good, man. So we got the input retuned for you, man. The bias looks good. I hadn't gotten here and cleaned it up. You didn't ask me to clean it up or anything. Some guys like for me to get in here and clean all the flux out of these things so they can look real good. You know, you look at it for about an hour, even up to 2 hours of labor just cleaning one of these jokers. I go around them with a Q-tip and clean the snot out of them. And that is time consuming. Some people refer it to washing them. I wish I could just put this thing in an acid bath and wash all the flux of it, but I like to go in there with a Q-tip and do it, man. Maybe there's easier ways to do it I don't know about yet, but hey, still learning, but that's the way I know how to do it at the moment. It works. Alright, so let's go ahead and let you see what this bad boy's doing, man. We're just going to start off slow. We are on 14.4 volts. My battery's dead over there, so I can't show the voltage. But we are on 14.4. Oh, and by the way, your meter had crapped out, and you said you didn't think it ever worked. So I got another meter on there for you, man. So I just went ahead and done that. Free of charge. You ain't got to pay for it, because actually what I did, I took 2 meters I had laying around one had a cracked case, but worked fine. The other one, the movement didn't work at all. So I took them both, took them apart, put you one together. Basically, I had to take switch the front right here. No, that ain't what I had. Okay, I remember what it was now. Yeah, I had to change. I put a new front on it for you. Okay, that came from another one that was fine and wasn't cracked. And the one that was cracked, I remember what it was now. All right, I'm getting confused here. All right, so I had a good meter that was cracked. Okay, and I had another one. See, I'm gonna say I can't even remember how I done it now, but I know what I did do. I just can't remember. I think I had 3 meters that I did this with. Basically, I had to put a new front on this one. Okay, I had to actually. I wish I had one took apart, but you see how they got the emblem in the back of here with the actual scale. Well, some of them they're actually clipped on with 2 little. I don't know what you call them, little clips on each side. Some of them are just glued down. Well, basically, I had a meter that worked just fine, but the emblem had bubbled up, and it was allowing the meter to not move. So what I had to do was to remove that back, take one out of another one, and put it in, and put this top on it. So I basically made you a good meter out of 3 different meters. I can't remember the chronological order that I did that today, but that's what I did. I ain't got the best memory in the world either. But I do my best. How about that? Alright. Alright, RMS scale. 1000 watt slug, like always. Right there about 150 watts. Take a look at the input reflect. Just a tad bit of movement. And it was right there at 1/2 watt before I retuned it. Alright, here's your peak. Oh, and by the way, before I retuned it, it was doing 400 watts. That's exactly what it was doing before I retuned it. Just taking that little bit of reflect out allowed a little bit more power to come into the box to be amplified. See right there, close to 500 watts, about 450. About 480. 475, 480. Alright, that's just hitting it with a small radio, man. So let's go ahead and step up and hook up just a little bit bigger of a radio. And what I'm going to do too is go ahead and hook it up to the bigger supply, because once I hook up the bigger radio, it's going to crap that little crappy servo supply out. I'm getting some supplies here soon, y'all, by the way. I got a couple fellow builders that's going to help me out and build me some supplies, because I don't have no time to do it right now. So I'm going to go ahead and put it on the bigger supply over here and hook up a bigger radio. And then you sent a radio yourself. So after I do all this, just showing you the output of the amp, we're going to hook your radio up and talk about a couple of things. All right, I'll be back. All right, brother, we are on the 100 amp unregulated supply. I am on the medium tap, which is sitting at 18.7 volts. That's going to drop. All right, my phone died on me. So anyway, we got the hot radio hooked up now, so we're going to be driving this bad boy with 8 watts RMS. Around there about 30, 40 watts PEP swing. Okay, it's going to be dropping to 14.8 volts. Alright, here's your RMS. Let me turn the amp on. About 200 bird. Here's your peak. Dark spot right there on the meter, I see, because of the shadow. Right there about 625, 630. About 630 watts or so. That's just hitting it with the hot radio. This is 42879s. I got the top on it. While the phone was dead, I hooked your radio up and was playing around with it. So I had it sitting on top right here. Alright, I had to let the phone charge. I ain't got me a long charging cord right now. It's freaking, gotta get me a camera, man. That's what I need. Alright, I'm gonna hook up my big radio, the old D-rail radio. We're gonna see what this bad boy's gonna do with a little bit more drive, and then we'll hook your radio up, man, and just go over a few things. Alright. A lot of other times in the past at this point, I would be hooking up a one-pill driver going into a Texas Star 500 like this, which I would always not recommend to do, you know. But ever since I got this bad to the bone little D-rail tuned Cobra 29 right here, I've just been using that. It doesn't do as much as a one-pill driver, of course, will do. But, I mean, it gives it some good drive just to show you that the amp's working like it should. I got it on the high tap now on the 100 amp unregulated supply because it was sucking that completely down to like 12.8 volts with the D-rail radio. So, all right, man, we got it. We went from 4 watts RMS drive to 8 watts RMS drive. Now we're going to be giving it 16 watts RMS. Or average, to be technical, but you know, RMS or whatever. So now we're going to be driving it pretty decently. Still hitting it with about 50, 60 watts peak. But giving it about 16 watts bird, RMS. Or average, however you want to say it. Alrighty. 1,000 watt slug still. Ooh, doggy. That's hitting 380. Yep, about 380 right there, about 370, 380 it looks like. That's just hitting it with a radio, y'all. A single final radio. 375, 380, I think it looked like. Let's say 360. I'm looking at it from an angle. 360 to 380 RMS, just hitting it with a single final Cobra 29. It's absolutely amazing. Alright, here's your peak watts. Hitting there about 700 watts. Alright. If I hooked up my, and by the way, that's dropping to 15.4, I think it is. I glanced at it while I was keying. But anyway, so, if I hooked up a one-pill driver at this moment, you know, this bad boy would be over 400, 450 watts RMS, over a kilowatt, no problem at all, man. But, run it easy, man. We're going to hook your radio up now. Kind of show you where a good place to run it at. Dead key, all that good stuff. And the cool thing about this radio, I noticed, man, is the front meter is like almost completely accurate with your dead key going against my bird. It's not accurate on the swing, but it's accurate on the dead key. So, like, if you got it at 5 watts dead key on the front of your radio, that's where it's at, 5 watts, dead key. So it's real accurate on the dead key. That's pretty cool. All right, let's get your Magnum S6 hooked up, which is the first time I've ever even had a Magnum 6 hooked up before in front of me, which is pretty cool. You got a mic on the front and the side. That's really neat. A lot of people's like, you don't know that, man? It's a Magnum S6, man. Hey, man, this ain't never had one in front of me before. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. All right, let me hook it up, man. We'll be right back. All right, bud, I got your radio hooked up straight to my bird meter, directly to the dummy load. So we got bypassed the 500 for now, just so you can see what the radio's doing by itself. I don't know if you've ever checked it out on a bird before. Okay, we got a 25 watt slug in. Okay. All right. Got the Top Gun modulator on. Okay, your dead carrier, which is right here. I got it turned all the way down. All right. Take a look at the bird meter here. That's about a 2 watt dead key, okay? A little bit, about a 2 watt dead key. Slowly go up. It maxes out right there about a 10 watt dead key. And take a look at your front meter on here. You can see it, that's at the 10. I don't know if it's picking it up good. That's at the 5. Take a look at the bird meter. 5. So that's accurate. It's pretty cool. Alright, so let's turn it all the way down to about 2 watts. Let's see what you got on the forward swing here. Alright, about 8 watts it looks like. 8 or 9. I was seeing about 10 earlier. I could have been wrong though. Audio. Let's creep the dead key up. Now that's 2.5 right there. Audio. That's about a little bit over 10 bird, just 2.5. So really, all the way down is actually about a watt or watt and a half, probably. Yeah, I'd have to look at it on my 10-watt slug to see exactly what it is. So pretty much, you know, if you turn your dead key up to 5 watts, about 13 bird. 7.5 watts. 15, which you know is probably going to be a little too high of a dead key there to run. 10 watts. About 17 bird. 17.5 bird. That's on a literally 15 amp, 13.8 volt dead nuts on supply. A little cheap Radio Shack supply I've had since I got in this thing, baby. This thing's been rocking and rolling, son. I got that cotton picker right when I got up in this thing, man. It's still kicking on, man. Ain't had no problems with it. Pretty kind of excited about that cotton picker right here. Been through me since the whole journey. Alright. Put the phone down, man. Let's see what this thing's doing on peak. And I do notice if you take the Top Gun modulator off, you lose RMS. They don't look like you really lose much peak. So you can tell that Top Gun modulator is injecting that audio. Alright. Peak wattage. All the way down to, we're still reading the top scale since we're on the 250 watt slug. I need to get me a good 100 watt slug is what I need. Right there, about 45 watts. Let's turn it up a little more. Dead key. Right there, about 60 watts. Let's turn her all the way up. So just watch, she does about 60 watts. I think that's right there about right for this radio, if I remember correctly. Alright, so let's turn this Texas Star on, man, and let's see where we're at. Try to go by the 1/4 rule I like to go by. Let me press pause. I'll be right back. Alright, brother. So I got the radio turned all the way down. Okay, I got a 100 amp supply over there on the medium tap, just in case. I don't want to be keying your amp on high voltage, just in case it ain't pulling it down. When I get my supplies built, I won't have to worry about that kind of stuff. But just to keep the box safe, since we got them brand new HGs in there, they are a little sensitive to higher voltage. They're not Toshibas. Alright, so we got it all the way down. Okay, and let's see what kind of dead key this gives. I like to stay around a 1/4 rule on RMS, on average wattage. Okay, so whatever the maximum that your amp's doing, try to keep the dead key around 1/4 of that on RMS. Not peak, but RMS. Okay. If you want to look at it on the peak side, you can kind of look at 1 to 10 in a way. You know, if you're doing 1,000 watts, dead key about 100. You know, or something like that. I like to go by the bird watts though myself. Alright. So we're getting a 50 watt dead key. Okay? A 50 watt dead key. and it's swinging 200 bird. Okay, let's take a look at the peak. Oh, that's 700 watts. Wow. Damn. Top Gun modulator's got that thing swinging, don't it? Swinging, swinging. Like my old boy used to say, letting the mop flop. Alright, but anyway, it's doing about 200 bird. So, that dead key is actually perfect, man. So if you want to run this thing on the low side, man, and let her last, I'd let her run like that right there. But if you want to creep up a little bit, and bring her up to 100 watts. Right there, 100 watts. Oh dear, that brings you up to about 280 bird. Oh dear, I personally wouldn't bring it up any more than that, but that's a little high right there just for what it's doing. Here's your peak. Right there, about 7. The peak really didn't change much. So, and just to let you see where it's sitting at right there. See where it's at? About 75% on the way to 5. That's where I would keep it. No higher than that. If I was you, I'd get out there, talk to some people. And as you saw, the difference of that dead key and all the way down did not actually change your peak watts at all. Okay? It just changed your dead carrier. So what I would do personally, turn this all the way down. Ask how it sounds. Now, if I would if I would go over there right now and turn it on the 100 amps, the high tap, because I looked over there and it was dropped in like 14.4 around there. And that's adequate voltage for your car, you know. But if I would put you over there and put on the high tap, it'd probably been sitting around about 15.5 or maybe even up to 16 volts just with that amount of drive from this radio. And you got to remember, you're not going to get full output out of this amplifier with this radio because, you know, it's not a driver. But look at it. What is it called? A Texas Star DX500. You were getting up to 700 watts peak just hitting it with this radio. You're where you need to be, man. You're good to go. You ain't got to drive these things to their absolute max. If it was my personal amp, I'd run it about 200 bird, 200, 250 bird, honestly, because I run my stuff about half throttle. Now, you know, I'll admit if I'm getting a little hyped up out there in DX land, you know, I might up things up a little bit. But see, what you're going to have a problem with is if you keep raising that dead key up on here, okay, as you saw, your max swing was about 250 when we turned it up, what was that, 260 or something, whatever it was. If you get that dead key up to equal that, your swing right there, on the peak side, it's going to show you swinging. But on RMS, you're either not going to be swinging at all or starting to swing backwards. And your peak meter will sit there and show you swinging like a monkey, man. It's almost impossible to make that peak meter swing backwards. But you can sit there and be saturating your transistors. If you turn this up too high, and you're sitting there dead keying, let's say, you know, for the fun of it, let's see what happens when you turn this all the way up and see what it dead keys. I'm just going to do it real quick. Yeah, see, all the way up, you're dead keying 300 watts. And I ain't even going to key it in audio like that, but you're basically dead keying 300 watts, okay? What's going to happen is since this is going to give you a little bit more RMS, you will swing probably forward using this radio with it all the way up like that. But it ain't going to be swinging forward much. And with that dead key being that high, you're going to be putting some stress on the amp. Because this is a Texas Star, man. You know, it's an AB biased amp. It's made, it ain't made like these big mall boxes, man. Some of these Class C mall boxes and et cetera, you know, they're made to handle a little bit more care. They don't have internal fans on them, you know. So a lot of guys out here may call me underdogging it, you know, telling you that's where a good place to run it at. Me, myself, man, if you want to be as safe as you possibly can with this particular radio, right there where I showed you is where I would be running it. I mean, good God, you're getting 600 watts out of it just hitting it with a radio, with this radio. You're good to go, man. You got to get a kilowatt out of this thing, dude. You know, the difference of 600 watts and 1,000 is going to be very tiny amount on the other end, if they can even notice at all. You've got to double your output to have a noticeable difference on the other end. The DB log table. Look it up. Old gatekeeper out here around the northeast end of Georgia. Mr. Lightline will get you back up and rocking and rolling, buddy. 4 new matched HG2879s popped in there for you, man. Tuned the input. Thickened up on the RF path solder. The path of solder, the RF goes up to the switch. I do that on every Texas Star, though. It just makes me feel better. I know it's all skin effect and all, but it just makes me feel better to do that. I just got these little couple of things I always do to every Texas Star, regardless. And got the power wire, full power wire upgrade done for you. Tell me what you feel better with. These powering your transformers, or those big chokes and there were 14 gauge wire on it. I would feel better with a 14 gauge wire. Plus you're looking at 3 wraps, 43 core. You've got some decent inductance on there to help with the ripple going back. Got a RF bead on each of the positive power wires, so you have more inductance